Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Money Matters Top Tips for Success, where each and every day I bring on new business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives and have them share their top tips for success with you. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with all my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, moneymatterstoptips.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Jyssica Schwartz on the line, and I'm really excited to get into her new book that she has coming out, and also some of the books that she's done in the past, and just a forewarning or a disclaimer or all of the above. So Jyssica is the editor that I use, and she's the one who edits a lot of those amazing books that are out there for my brand. And Jyssica, I am happy to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, Adam. Nice to be here.
So I'm excited to get into your new book and also some of them that you've done in the past. But before we do that, let's get a little bit more into your background. So how did you get started in your career and as an entrepreneur?
Absolutely. So I actually had a little bit more of a traditional career. I started right out of college. I graduated from the University of Florida when I was 20, and I started working in sales at a publishing company in Florida, at a technical, manual publishing company. And eventually I wanted to move to New York, and I wanted to sooner, but it was 2008, and there was a countrywide recession going on, and so that wasn't really possible. So in 2010, I applied for a bunch of jobs, and I was able to get a job in New York City, and I moved to New York at 23, and then continued working in sales because that's where my experience was. So I kind of just continued doing that. I ended up spending about 10 years in business development and corporate sales. And then in 2016, at the end of 2016, I realized that I had just continuously always wanted to be a writer. And to me, it wasn't this deep desire to be an entrepreneur. That was never what drove me. What drove me was my personal happiness and sense of fulfillment, and I wanted to be a paid writer. And I had always been a writer, I just hadn't been paid to do it. So I started looking for clients, and my husband and I kind of sat down and we ran the numbers, and we realized that we kind of came to the decision that if I was able to make about half of my corporate salary just from writing clients, then I could quit my job and really try to pursue it full time. And I gave myself about a year to get to that point. And I was just incredibly gratified and excited when about 90 days after starting, I was making more than half of my corporate salary and was able to quit my job about 90 days later to the day and go on my own. And that was almost 3 years ago now.
Wow, what an amazing story. I love it. And, one of the things I like about your story is that you had a passion, you had something you wanted to do, and you took a really methodical way and even a structured way in terms of decide and set some benchmarks for yourself to hitting your goal to understand that it made sense for you to go off and do this. So I just love the systematic approach you took. So there's some younger entrepreneurs that are listening right now that are just getting started in business, and some of them want to be writers or go in that marketing direction or book writing niche. So all those kind of areas that you cover. What kind of advice would you give to that fresh entrepreneur or college grad that's thinking about going down that path?
One thing that I've noticed, a lot of writers and editors that I've met, and I've gotten the wonderful opportunity to meet quite a few of them, they don't consider themselves salespeople. They don't consider themselves marketers. And they get frustrated when they see people like me who, because I do have a pretty in-depth sales background, I'm very comfortable getting on the phone and cold messaging and cold calling and actively marketing myself to find new clients. And they get frustrated when they're not seeing that kind of result without doing the marketing. So I would say that one of the really most important things you can do as an entrepreneur or a freelancer, no matter what you're doing, graphic designing, consulting, writing, it doesn't matter what you're doing. The most important thing is to go find clients. Actively, proactively go out and look for companies that you feel to work with and reach out to them. Tell them what's in it for them. What benefits do they get from working with you? What value do you bring to their business? And for me, a lot of that comes into such as working with you, where I'm bringing organization and editing skills and the ability to put together these big collaborative books and work with people at every level. And then for other companies, that might be something as simple as they don't have the time and capacity to update their blog regularly. And having an updated blog regularly is important to a lot of businesses in terms of SEO and coming up higher in the search rankings and people coming back to their site more often. And so really finding what it is that you can bring to the clients and really being able to express that. Because if you're just sitting around, no one knows who I am. People are not just like randomly imagining my business and having me as a freelancer. You know, I have to go out and introduce myself to people because I don't have an expectation that people are just going to find me out of nothing.
Oh, I love it. That's awesome. And if you do great work over time, you'll get the referrals, of course, and that's how I found you. But
absolutely.
That being said, hard to build a business on referrals like that. So just throwing that out there. I love what you say about going out there and really marketing yourself. And I think that's a great transition into what you're doing and your next book. So I'm excited to have you on here to talk about it. So concept to conclusion, how to write a book. What was the inspiration for creating this work?
There were a lot of inspirations. The main two, I would say, is this is my third book. I have a couple others that are out, but this book I'm extremely proud of it. I think it's some of my strongest writing. I think it's extremely useful. So one of the motivations is when I started as a freelance writer, there are about 5 billion results on Google when you Google how to write or how to be a writer or be a freelancer. And a lot of them contradict each other. And it was very frustrating when I first started out, not being able to find accurate, relevant information that felt like it just made sense. So a lot of my writing, I have a blog on Medium that has about 5,000 followers. And what I've become known for is just super straightforward advice for like how to find clients on Instagram, how to market yourself, how to start writing a book. And that eventually I started doing book coaching, where is literally just working one-on-one with people to teach them how to break down the process of writing a book, how to create an outline, how to refine their idea and identify their audience, and then how to actually break down the writing process and write a chapter or a conclusion or an introduction. And the one-on-one book coaching led to me creating a 12-week course called How to Write a Book in 3 Months, which was a instructor-led online course, which I absolutely loved. And I ran into a huge challenge with that course in how to market it and understanding the world of marketing and online marketing myself as a writer. And it's so completely different. And it's not something I've mastered yet. It's something I'm learning. But the experience of taking a couple classes through How to Write a Book in 3 Months just really opened me up even more to wanting to give people a very specific, very easy to follow guidebook of this is how you write a book. This is how you break it down. I mean, chapter 1 goes right in with how to refine your concept down into what your book is going to be about, how to identify who you're writing to, and really just break it down into an easy to understand process. I feel like people sell thousands and thousands of dollars of courses and books and guidebooks and all this information on it. And in the end, it almost always feels like when you watch a free webinar online, it almost always feels like an ad. You know, at the end of it, they're like, well, if you like this, then you're going to love this that you should spend $500 on. And that was the one thing that I don't want my main income to only be from selling things to people. Like I want to be physically doing the writing and the editing. And so this book was something that allows me to teach people and give them the information that I originally developed for the course in a whole new way, in a whole new format. So not everyone has 12 weeks to commit to an online course. They just don't. And I get it. It's tough to find that kind of time. So instead, I turned it into a book that they can use and take with them and reference throughout the process, no matter how long it takes them.
That's awesome. And so in terms of readers, so how to write a book, what kind of audience, so if they're driving in their car right now, they're in their office, they're, kind of listening to it and they're like, oh, I've always wanted to do a book. Should I go grab this book? What kind of person should go pick up this book, and what should they expect to get out of it?
Sure. Fun fact, about 82% of people polled in the U.S. have said that they want to write a book. So a significant amount of people. is mostly geared towards nonfiction authors, and not just true nonfiction like scientific and scholarly work. Any creative nonfiction, so that's personal development, how to, anytime when you're teaching someone something, spirituality, and then also memoirs and autobiographies. So it really fits in with the creative nonfiction world. The first part, chapters 1 through 5, really is geared towards breaking down the writing process of a nonfiction book. And then the second part is actually more for any author. So it's really looking at, the second part, more for any author, is really looking at more what to do after the book is complete. Manuscript order, how to market your book, what is a beta reader, how to interview editors, for example, how to compare and contrast different publishing options and find the one that works best for you. So that could be good for any author, but I definitely want to state that when it comes to breaking down the writing process, it is geared more towards nonfiction. I'm not a fiction author, so I don't want to try to tell people what to do in that case because I don't want to give them incorrect information. But if you have ever thought about writing a self-help, how-to, personal development, marketing book, you're teaching people something, then I can literally break down how to write individual chapters and how to give examples and how to provide practical application usages. And it's just, it's something I'm super proud of because I think that it's something useful. And one of the biggest things, one of my biggest goals in my business is I want people to find my work valuable and useful and something that they can take with them to learn from.
Oh, I love it. That's awesome. And so, Jyssica, if somebody wants more information, I know the book's not out yet, and I know I'm going to snag you for another interview because when this is out, I want to I want to bring you back on the show so we can kind of plug it again. And just for full disclosure, I've read this book, and one of the things that I could tell you, is I didn't know the difference. And I published a lot of books. I didn't know the difference between a memoir and autobiography. Sorry for everyone listening, I didn't until I read Jyssica's book, and I'm like, oh, I never really thought about it. Autobiography covers a life. Autobiography covers a life. Memoir is a moment in time. Like, she has all these amazing little fun tips, like all the way through, where you're like, oh yeah, I didn't know that. Oh, well, thank you, Jyssica. I appreciate that. So I've become better from doing this and reading this book. I'm sure that the listeners will also, especially if you've never written a book and you're really kind of lost. Don't try to piece together blog posts or it's just so much work and effort. Just go grab the book. So concept to conclusion, how to write a book. Jyssica, what's your website? Because I'm sure you're going to post it there and do some other things once it's up. What's the website people can find it? Mm-hmm.
So my main website is jyssicaschwartz.com, and my first name has a Y instead of an E, which I'm sure you will have in the description box below. And then I also have a blog that I post a lot of information on, / Jyssica Schwartz, which you'd be welcome to follow me. And it's coming out on Tuesday, November 26th. And as a bonus fun fact, Adam wrote the foreword to the book and was able to get a sneak peek at the manuscript as soon as it was finished, before it even went through editing, and was able to take a look and gave me some amazing feedback and was gracious enough to be part of the book for me.
Oh, so exciting, and thank you. It was definitely my pleasure and honor. You make us look good every day. Do all I can do to support. So, Jyssica, thank you again for coming on the show today. It's been a pleasure. To the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. I hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Leave me a review on the Apple iTunes store. Share this with your friends. Do all those great things we do to support our podcasters. I really do appreciate it. And Jyssica, thanks again for coming on the show.